Good morning, children. So today we start with beverages. So there are two beverages in our course, tea and coffee. So tea is an important beverage which is liked both by the aristocrats and the common man. It is because of its unique taste and certain inherent qualities as a tranquilizer and mild stimulant. A Japanese folklore states that tea was discovered by an Indian Buddhist monk who visited China in about 500 AD. However, it was Major Robert Bruce who discovered it that indigenous tea bushes grew wild on the hillsides of Upper Assam. So as a result of this, tea plantations were set up in the Brahmaputra Valley by the Britishers in 1839. In the beginning, tea plantations were confined to Upper Assam only, but later on they were also established in Darjeeling, Lower Assam. Thereafter, tea plantations were set up in Nilgiri Hills of South India. So tea is both a tropical and a subtropical plant. There are three main varieties of tea. So the first one is the black tea. Black tea is prepared by drying the leaves in the sun and then rolling them mechanically between steel rollers and fermenting them. This tea is taken with milk and sugar in India. The second variety is the green tea. So green tea is consumed mainly in China and Japan, and there is no fermentation in the processing of this type of tea. Now in the recent times, green tea is becoming very popular in India as well because of its health benefits. So, in the preparation of green tea, the picked leaves are heated immediately by roasting them over hot iron pans and are later rolled. There is no fermentation process and the leaves remain green even when they are dried, graded and packed. So green teas are highly flavored and are stronger stimulants because of their higher tannin or tannic acid content. They are usually taken without milk or sugar after brewing with boiling water. The third variety or type of tea is the Oolong tea. This variety of tea is greenish brown and is prepared by partially drying and fermenting the leaves. From the tea gardens, a high-grade semi-fermented Oolong tea is produced. Much of it is actually shipped to the United States. Now let us see the geographical requirements. So first, the soil. Tea bush grows well in well-drained, deep, friable loams with porous subsoil. Stagnant water is injurious to its roots, hence sandy loams are the best. A large proportion of phosphorus and potash imparts special flavor to tea as in case of Darjeeling tea. In order to increase the yield, proper amount of nitrogenous fertilizers such as ammonium sulfate should be added to the soil. Regular tilling of the soil to remove the weeds is essential. Now children, you must have seen that the tea gardens are generally located on the hill slopes. So this is done usually because tea bush grows well where the soil is well drained. So in order to avoid waterlogging, the tea is grown on hill slopes because the water drains away or flows away easily. It is also grown on various elevations varying from 600 meters to 1500 meters. Now the climatic requirements. The ideal temperature for growing tea is between 13 to 35 degrees centigrade. Temperature less than 10 degrees centigrade and more than 35 degrees centigrade is harmful for the crop. Tea is a shade-loving plant and develops more vigorously when it is planted along with the shady trees. Frost is harmful. Now the rainfall, it requires a rainfall ranging between 150 to 250 centimeters, which is well distributed throughout the year. Prolonged dry spell is harmful for tea. High humidity, heavy dew, and morning fog favor the rapid development of young leaves. Now let us study about the method of cultivation. There are two methods of cultivation, transplantation and second is the clone planting. So first method is transplantation. The tea gardens are set up on cleared hill slopes where shade trees are planted in advance because tea leaves are shade-loving plants. The seeds are first sown in the germination beds and after 9 months, the saplings are transplanted to the garden. The garden is already weeded so that the tea bushes grow without any hindrance under the shade of the trees. And another reason for regular weeding is because the weeds are unwanted plants, they use up the nutrients of the soil. That is why regular weeding is essential. The second method is the clone planting. So rather than planting the seeds, cuttings from a good high yielding mother plant are taken. So first of all what the planters do is they identify the tea bushes which are high yielding, which are healthy in nature, and then their cuttings are taken. So this method is called clone planting as the new plant which develops from the cuttings, it acquires the qualities of the mother plant. These small cuttings are planted in nurseries where special care is taken, and after some time when they become strong, then they are transplanted to the tea garden. Use of manures and fertilizers is essential so that the fertility of the soil is maintained, and for that oil cakes and green manures are generally used. Next is harvesting. Tea leaves are ready for plucking in about 3 to 4 years, and tea leaves plucking is a very skilled job and it is usually done by the women who are considered to be much more patient in working. So generally it is the women who are employed for plucking of the tea leaves. A skilled tea plucker can pluck almost 50 kgs of leaves per day. The women work their way along the tea bushes, plucking the tender leaves and tossing them into baskets which are tied at their back, as you can see in this picture. The finest tea is obtained from the young shoots comprising 2 leaves and a bud, known as fine plucking. Bud is an unopened leaf found between first and the second leaf. So plucking should not be done below this standard as it results in obtaining coarse, inferior quality tea. So tea crop is labor intensive and therefore it requires abundant supply of cheap labor. Now children, you must have seen, if you've seen a tea garden, you must have seen that the bushes, they appear to be flat from the top. That is because regularly pruning is done, meaning the leaves on top, they are cut from time to time. So pruning, it is very essential because of two reasons. The removal of the central stem encourages the quick development of lateral branches, and periodical pruning does not allow the plant to grow more than 40 centimeters. And this facilitates hand plucking, which is mostly done by the women. The second advantage of pruning is that it helps in the growth of new shoots bearing soft leaves in plenty. After the tea leaves have been plucked, the factory also is located in the same tea plantation itself. So the women, the laborers, they collect the tea leaves and they go to the factory. So processing of black tea involves 5 operations. The first is withering. The tea leaves, when they are green, they contain lot of moisture. In order to remove this moisture, the leaves are spread over racks and air is passed through them. After this, they become soft and then they are sent for rolling. The second process is rolling, which gives the twist to the leaf. It breaks the leaf cells and the natural juice is exposed to the atmosphere for fermentation to set in. And this gives a characteristic flavor to the tea. So in this picture you can see rolling being done. Fermentation. After rolling, the tea leaves are spread out in special trays on cement tables for fermentation. During this process, the tannin in tea is partly oxidized and the tea leaf changes its color to copper red. Then the next process is drying or fixing. After fermentation, the tea leaves are put on a conveyor belt and are passed through an oven at a very high temperature. This needs proper supervision as excessive temperature will scorch the leaves while low temperature will result in improper drying. After this process, the tea leaves get the normal black color and are ready for sorting. Now, after the tea leaves they dry, the leaves are sorted out into various grades with the help of sifters with different size of meshes. After sorting, they are given the brand names denoting the size of the leaves like Pico, Broken Orange and Dust. So children, the above 5 operation, that is withering, rolling, fermentation, drying, sorting, they are part of the old method. In the recent times, the CTC method has been adopted, which consists of crushing, tearing and curling processes, all done using one machine. So you can see the CTC machine. Now tea leaves have to be packed with utmost care so that they do not lose their flavor. So generally they are packed in plywood cases with a lining of aluminium foil paper so as to keep the tea leaf fresh and so that it retains the flavor. After packing, the tea chests or tea boxes are marked and they are sent to the nearest port for export. Ready-made tea packs, tea bags and iced tea have recently come in as the latest products in the market. Now blending is also done. Blending means to mix up. So the plant is generally affected by the type of climate it is grown in. Thus by planting, the tea planter prepares his own brand to supply his customers on the basis of its flavor, color and texture. So different varieties of tea leaves are mixed together or blended. So each brand will have its own characteristic flavor and the blend is a closely guarded secret. Nobody shares it with anyone. Now let us see the problems being faced by the tea plantations. Many of the tea gardens have been closed down in the recent years because of the decline in tea price, which resulted in heavy losses. So as a result of this, the tea plantations were closed down. There was less production of tea, maybe because of certain problems like power crisis, labor problems, strikes and financial crisis. There was a reduction in the demand for the number of laborers. So due to this, many of the laborers started searching for the jobs elsewhere. So this was another problem. Sick industry. A considerable number of tea gardens went sick. Sick industries are those which suffer losses because of the lack of infrastructure, modernization and efficient management. So because they were not managed properly, the infrastructure was not good, they were not modernized. So as a result of this, many of the industries started to incur losses. Then lack of proper storage facilities. As a result of this, many of the tea leaves would get spoiled. Then pest problem along with mosquito, bug, a disease called bacterial black spot has also affected many plantations, especially in northeast India. Now, tea plantation cannot be done in the entire country because you all know that all the plants have certain geographical requirements. So, tea plantation is concentrated only in a few areas. So, in India, there are two main belts. One is in Northeast India, the second is in South India. So, in Northeast India, the areas are Assam Hill region, which is the largest tea producing area in the world. And the reasons are that it has favorable climatic conditions with rainfall of more than 250 centimeters, temperature above 20 degrees centigrade, frequent morning fog which helps, and frost never occurs. And laborers are also available in plenty, so hand picking becomes easy. Assam produces the most popular tea that is pungent in taste. It is strong and used for blending the milder ones. The second region is the Brahmaputra Valley. On both sides of this valley, tea plantations are a common sight, and the reasons again are favorable climatic conditions, the rainfall of between 200 to 300 centimeters with favorable temperature, high humidity. They are ideal conditions for tea cultivation. The cropping here is done from April to December. This tea is in great demand in the world and it is used for blending because of its strong flavor and color. The third region in Northeast India is West Bengal, and it is grown mainly in Darjeeling, Jalpaiguri and Cooch Behar. So the tea is grown on the Himalayan slopes. The soils are red loams and sandy loams, and the annual rainfall ranges between 300 to 500 centimeters. Darjeeling tea is famous for its typical flavor, most popular brand being the green Lipton. Inferior quality is blended with the Assam tea. For flavor, tea is also grown in Himachal Pradesh, Tripura, Manipur and Arunachal Pradesh. Now in South India, the areas are in Tamil Nadu, the regions are Nilgiri, Cardamom, Palni and Annamalai hills. Then they are grown in Kerala and Karnataka. So tea gardens are located between 300 to 1800 meters. The temperatures are high and rainfall exceeds 400 centimeters. There is no fear of frost, so the conditions are ideal. So even though the productivity is high, but when we compare it with northeastern tea, the quality is slightly inferior. Most of the region gets its rainfall from both the monsoons, and rainfall is well distributed. The soil is red, yellow and laterite in origin. The cropping season is on throughout the year, but the best superior quality is produced during December, January. Nilgiri tea is famous for its fine taste and flavor. India is the largest producer of tea in the world, and it has a lot of importance for the Indian economy. Because it is a labor intensive industry, so it provides employment to a large number of workers. So both men and women are employed, as women are temporarily suited to the job and men take care of loading, unloading, packaging, etc. Then Indian tea is world famous, so it is a source of foreign exchange. So these 2 points are the importance of tea for the Indian economy.